The What's Happening Hoke show is filmed before a live audience and is sponsored by the Rock of Hoke, Rockfish Motor Speedway. What's happening, Hoke? We're back, and beside me is Jennifer Payne.
Hey, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me.
She is at the center of the controversy. One of the parents is at the center of the controversy behind the chillers at Sandy Grove Elementary School, right?
Correct. I have 2 children there.
So, tell us what happened. Tell us the full story. The good news is the chillers are on as we speak.
At one school.
At one school, which is the school that your child is in. But at Rockfish Elementary, no AC. Chillers still out. So, tell us your story.
I have 2 children who attend the school. My son is 5 years old and is in pre-K, and my daughter is 11 and is in 5th grade. We received a note home saying that please be patient and bear with us. We're having some air conditioning problems. And the way it made it sound was...
This was signed from the principal?
This was. And it made it sound like it was kind of just bear with us while we kind of switch them up. Not that this is going to be a long, drawn-out ordeal. So my daughter's side of the school was not affected as much as the younger grades was. My son, who's in pre-K, they were without air conditioning, and all of the windows were open. But what it was doing when it was 90 degrees outside was basically just pulling in more hot air from outside.
So there was AC in part of the school, but not...
Correct.
Okay.
To my understanding, the failure was basically on the side of the school where the younger grades were, because when you walked from the one end of the building to the other, there was a noticeable 10-15 degree difference in the temperature. So I do know from what my daughter has told me that they had the part of the school that had air conditioning had to keep their doors open, which was making it a little bit warm over there because they were having their doors open and weren't able to circulate the air within the classroom, but nowhere compared to the temperature that the lower grades were dealing with.
Let me ask you, in the side of the building where there was no AC, did you see anything about thermometers, or did you know what the temperatures were?
I don't, and there's been a lot of hearsay, and I told you gentlemen when I first arrived here, I'm not one to participate in speculation or rumors or hearsay. I'm only here to state the things that I've seen with my own 2 eyes.
Right.
I have heard that there were thermometers in place. I personally did not see them. Doesn't mean that they weren't there, but I personally did not see them. I also wasn't looking out for them. I was there.
But did you actually witness your children being uncomfortable in the school?
I got a phone call that my son was crying because he was so hot. I went into the classroom to pick him up, just right after the phone call, and there were kids crying. There were kids. It was right about to be nap time, so there were kids physically uncomfortable. And to the point where I picked him up and I could have gone home and sat him on the couch in the air conditioning, but we went to buy cases of water for his class.
Wow.
We went to go buy big Route 44 drinks from Sonic for the office stuff, because it's not just the children, it's also the staff, and I'm very sensitive to that.
Because in the same area.
Yes, it's not just the kids, it was a hostile environment for everyone involved, including the staff. So I did go and purchase the cases of water and big drinks to at least cool them off until they could go home.
Now, you also tried to buy AC units for the
Not
school?
only did I try to buy one for my son's class, but so many parents, and I think our generation in a whole is so ready to react and just yell and scream instead of do something proactive to fix the problem. Constructive. I was taught to think outside the box and to come up with solutions, not just complain about it and sit there and do nothing. So I decided, with my retail background, I know that companies donate to nonprofits all the time, and if they heard that children were without air conditioning, that many of our local businesses would have been, like you said, on it in a heartbeat. So I spent Friday morning and Friday afternoon calling local businesses saying...
This was last Friday?
This was 2 Fridays ago.
2 Fridays ago, okay.
I started calling local businesses before I even contacted the school, because I wanted to be able to go to the school and say,
I'm trying.
Boom, it's already done.
Right.
Just, give me something that I can take to these businesses. I contacted businesses. I wanted to get, if they couldn't donate actual AC units. I wanted cases of water. If they couldn't do that, gift certificates so that we could purchase them at maybe a discounted rate. So I was ready to pull out all the stops. I was going to go pick them up myself and do whatever I needed to do.
But the AC unit,
The whole goal was to purchase AC units,
and
window units.
I have some experience about that, and they told you couldn't do that, right?
Right. Got to the school. I just needed a letterhead from the school, and the school said no.
Right.
Or actually, the school didn't say no. She sent it up to Dr. Williamson, and he denied it.
Dr. Williamson.
Well, I have personal experience with air conditioner. My wife's building is old. She works in the EC department behind Turlington. And they have a really old building, and it has the under the ground air conditioner, and it just didn't work good. And for years in the summer, they were miserable in there. Parents have to come in and out to get their kids tested and stuff like that. So they're there with 4 or 5 fans in the office, windows open. They let them relax a little bit and wear some more comfortable clothing. But I'm going in and out there too, and I'm saying it's hot. I said, I'll tell you what, there's a window right there. I'll just go buy an AC unit and stick it in there. And then I went to the head of maintenance and I went to Dr. Williamson, and they said it is a policy that I cannot do that with my money because it's a state-run organization. They said, now I could donate the money and then they could put it through purchasing and go get one and install it. But because it's under the state regulation, I can't do that as an individual. So at that point, I'm like, well, but at least it elevated it enough to where they went and got it fixed.
What was the response from the school, Jennifer, when you did all
When
this?
you did all that?
At first, it was, well, how many units could you get? And then I said, well, I will get as many as I need. Like, that, give me a number and I will do it.
We'll try to obtain it.
Yes. And then it was, well, if you can't get that many, how do I pick and choose? And my goal was just getting some type of air conditioners in there, even if we had to rotate them.
Some kind of relief to the kids.
Yeah, it wasn't, and then I was told, well, what about the other school? If you get the 25, because I was given a number of 25, and in my head I'm
Now,
thinking,
who was going to give you the AC?
I had contacted Lowe's, all the way out to Ramsey Street. I had contacted Walmart. I had contacted Home Depot.
Who was the most receptive?
Lowe's.
I'm just curious.
I spoke to the Lowe's on Ramsey Street.
Military discount, Lowe's, yep.
Yep, the Lowe's on Ramsey Street. I spoke to their human resources director, and she said, get me a letterhead that says, that the heater or the air conditioner is indeed out, and we'll get you going. She asked me, how many do you need? And at that time I couldn't provide a number because I hadn't spoken. And then when I spoke to the school, it was, first it was, well, we don't know if we can do that, and then it kept wavering, and then when I said 25, I can get that. It's
obtainable.
It's obtainable. It's an obtainable goal. GoFundMe accounts are set up for less ridiculous reasons.
Right.
I guarantee you I can get these 25 units. And then I was told, well, what about the other school? So in my mind,
The other
it was
school being Rockfish.
correct.
Right.
And as sensitive as I am to that situation, it felt like an all or nothing type deal. And that didn't seem fair to my children who were currently sitting in the heat.
Right.
I didn't know why it was an all or nothing. So it was sent up, after that conversation, it was sent up to the school board. School board denied it. So I said, okay, you denied it for me getting all the donations. Let me buy one. We're a military family on a very fixed income, single income home. And I was willing to purchase a $350 unit to put into my son's classroom because my son has a learning disorder, and I have seen a complete 180 since he entered into Miss Lanier and Miss Barbara's pre-K class. I mean, he is. You do?
Yes.
Love her. He's a different child than he was last summer. And he needs to be in there. He doesn't need to be pulled out at 11:30 every day. He doesn't need to be home, bothering his little sister. He needs to be.
So were they releasing kids early to?
That's
I don't know exactly.
What adjustments did
What's
they
the
make?
crux?
What was their fallback plan? Did they have any at all?
I don't know officially what was being done. I can tell you that I was in close contact with my son's teacher the entire week. Again, I wasn't one who was just overreacting and pulling my kids just to prove a point. My daughter stayed at school. Her side of the building was cool enough. She stayed at school all week, but my son, where it was so hot, 11:30 is when they're still counted present for the day.
Okay.
And it's about the time, about noon is when it starts really heating up and the heat was really staying in the building. So at 11:30, 12 o'clock, I was picking up my son every day and trying to take stuff in.
So you got credit for the day, and then you were able to, and you got his homework, and so that was the point I wanted to make.
Do they have a PTO, or this was?
Well, so when I
this was all you?
when I went to the, because I've also been a member of PTOs in the past when we lived in Texas.
Right.
So when I first went to the to the principal and I said, "Can I get these donations?" and she said no. I said, "So had I gone through the PTO, it would have been different because the PTO. What a lot of people don't realize is the PTO." Is a total separate entity from the school. It's associated with the school, but they have their own
board.
Yes. So I said, had I gone through the PTO, would I have been able to do this? Because then I'm like, why didn't I just go through them for the first place? Because we used to accept donations all the time when we had fairs or we'd have
field day.
Yes, we'd have different companies donate to us, and we never had to get permission. I was not given an answer on that. I did go. I was hoping. Here was my plan. It was Friday morning. I made all these phone calls. Friday afternoon, I ran into the school at 2:20 right before school got out because I wanted to get this letter. I wanted time to gather all of the air conditioning units over the weekend so that Monday morning these kids could go into a school that was cool. And to leave there with a no was completely heartbreaking because I went in there with such high hopes. And I actually, when I saw her in the hallway and I said, "You're just the person I wanted to see," because she's just as hot as the kids are. And I was hoping to go in there and say, "Look, I already got this figured out, and here's what we're going to do." And that really wasn't the case. So it was definitely disheartening.
Let me ask you this, and in the big picture, because they've known about the AC units for a few years now. They said they knew about them. Last year we know they knew about them. Right. Last year they knew about them.
And it was only one school.
And it was only one school. So
not Sandy Grove.
How, looking forward, what would a school system need to do to prevent this from happening down the road? Obviously, you can't never predict when an AC unit's going to go out, especially the magnitude. Did you see the price of them suckers? They were $600,000 a piece. But all of a sudden, projecting forward, we need some proactive type stuff, because what happens when the air conditioner goes out in the solar panel school?
Well, here's the thing. Right now, here's the thing, and that's a newer school. Now, we knew that the children was going out, it's a 20-year system was going down. Let's be clear. The facts are, October, it was going to be fixed by spring. It's not. It was one school, Rockfish Elementary.
We're still literally.
And so here's the thing. It was supposed to be fixed in spring. It isn't. Now it's 2 schools. Now it's back down to 1 school, Sandy Grove. Rockfish Elementary still doesn't have it. Here's my point. Hoke County Jail has AC. The school doesn't. This is the spouse of a veteran. He's expected to go to Iraq, where he's in an arduous environment, 100+ degrees. And he shouldn't be worried about his son that's back here supposed to be in school, learning, thinking, well, gee, my son's just as hot as I am.
In a classroom.
In a classroom. That's my point. And so the fact that it's happened to a veteran again, because it is a veteran issue, it's a local issue, it's a state issue. And it's prepped for a lawsuit because parents are contacting their congressmen, they're contacting the news agencies, and it's all in the news cycle. Now all of a sudden it's fixed. But we still got this one school. That's my issue with it. Well, and the guy that writes into the paper says, well, back in my day, we didn't have AC. Well, back in my day, they had horse and buggy too, I guess, huh? That's a ridiculous statement on his part. They're not outside. They're in a doggone classroom in a controlled environment, like being in a doggone microwave.
Let me interject something here. I was told during that conversation about the ACs that they were following the guidelines set forth by the health department.
Okay.
Which was, and I said, okay, what does the temperature need to be? Because I wanted to hear a number so that there wasn't any speculation.
They didn't have one.
They told me, I was told 85 degrees.
Okay.
By my school, by my children's school, I was told 85 degrees.
85 degrees is a bearable temperature.
That is what she said that we are not we don't need to shut down because we are following the health department's guidelines. And I said, what temperature is that? And she said 85. And I said, well, it was 93 on Monday.
On that day, the outside temperature, so the inside temperature, no telling.
Okay, so,
No air.
I mean, and it wasn't gonna get into a back and forth,
Right.
but I wanted to hear a number. But I think the part that frustrates parents is if you look at the news article from May 12th, conducted by Nicole Carr with ABC 11. It was ABC 11. Jody Bryant stated that money was not an issue, and there was a
Jody
direct
Bryant, who's the public relations for Hoke County Schools.
correct, that it wasn't a money issue. But then if you look at subsequent interviews, they're saying, well, it's an expensive unit, it's a money issue. So it keeps flip-flopping, and the parents keep getting, it's gonna be fixed in spring, it's gonna be fixed after spring break, it's gonna be fixed after Memorial Day weekend.
So if the parents could have got a better communication or
Better communication.
no kidding, this is when it's gonna happen.
If we were sent notes home saying, it's taking longer than expected, please donate cases of water to your classroom.
Do something proactive.
Please check out your students if they have health issues. I felt like it was swept under the rug.
Allergies, things like that.
And it kept,
So you weren't
they
getting
were just
feedback.
waiting, they were hoping, and in my mind, I feel like they were just hoping to get to the end of the school year without anyone causing a huge fuss.
Right.
We're so close to the end of the school year.
Right.
So in their mind, they're thinking, man, let's just get through this
Now, at
next
one point, they
couple
said they
weeks."
could have had it fixed by July.
I was told by a staff member, not one of my children's teachers, it was a
Okay.
staff member that I was speaking to, that they were pulled into a meeting with Mr. Reneker, who is the assistant principal at Sandy Grove Elementary.
Okay.
And they were told they're working on it, but most likely it will not be up and running until July.
In the second school
This is in Sandy Grove Elementary.
or the first school? Well, one of them's working now.
Well,
That's-
Rockfish
that's-
Elementary
and
is
now
not
it's working all of it.
Sandy Grove is working.
Right.
And the thing about it, we want to keep the topic fresh. And when this morning, when you said, hey, Glenn, we got AC, I said, okay, we got a good news story to report that the AC is
Some
on.
good positive news.
Then when I call out to Rockfish Elementary, now we don't have AC. So now Rockfish Elementary, which was the initial school in October, that had the initial problem, and then when we get to May, it's 2 schools, not 1. Rockfish Elementary is still out.
Well, and what's
AC.
frustrating is when I went into the meeting about the ACs, I was told that it was an acceptable learning environment.
Really?
Now, fast forward a couple of days, and I'm speaking to teachers, and end of the grade testing, otherwise known as EOG testing,
Right.
is coming up. My daughter took her first test today. It's very important, not only for the students, but it's a reflection on the school.
Yeah, you can't focus trying to take a test,
So,
let alone learn anything.
yes, so I was extremely flabbergasted when I found out that it was an acceptable learning condition every other day, but that arrangements had already been made to move classrooms during EOG testing so that
To the cooler side of the building.
yes.
Okay.
So if it's an acceptable learning environment on every Monday through Friday last week,
Right.
why isn't it acceptable learning environment during testing? It's because it's a direct reflection on the school. And the
So they
state
get
is
the
gonna
opportunity
see
to move them
those.
during the day to the cooler side.
No one
Now
sees-
it's EOG testing, let's get
Yes.
them to the cooler side.
No one is gonna hear the kids complaining any
Right.
other day, but when the test scores are bad, that's gonna get a lot of attention
Right.
that they do
I
not.
would've done better.
I have learned that test scores mean a lot to a lot of different people, not only the school system, but the parents alike. But when you talk testing and you're talking state scores, it becomes political,
Right.
so it becomes a hot button issue. But I just want to say thank you for coming in and being constructive.
Yeah.
First
Here's
of
the
all,
thing, you try to
I've
do
seen the
everything.
comments, and some of them are
I
not.
followed them back with Fayetteville Observer. I saw the Hope News gun, so I reached out to them and said, well, hey, would you like to come on the show?
Cool.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank
We want to keep this a current issue because it still is a current
Gotta
issue.
get the other
With
one fixed.
Rockfish Elementary, got to get that one fixed. What would you like to say to the parents and them out there? What should they
And
do?
the leaders.
The leaders, the parents. And here's the thing. You don't want anyone, being in the military, you try to solve the problem at the lowest level. You don't want to go outside the box. Outside the box is contacting congressmen, news agencies.
Well,
Let's try to solve this at the lowest level because we don't need anybody coming here trying to mind our business for us. I wonder now, because of all the news cycle and the congressmen that contacted, Is that what fixed the problem, or did they just get it fixed?
I never heard back, I will say, I never heard back from Senator Ben Clark,
Okay.
who I did contact.
He's with the local.
He is,
State
he is of District 21, which is what we fall under. And I did not hear back from him, but even when I was speaking to the school about getting the donated AC units, and I was told, well, it's being worked on, it's being worked on.
Okay.
And my response to that was, then let's put them away for the next disaster.
In case there's an emergency.
Right.
That makes perfect sense to me.
How many schools do we have in this district? It is not without fail that, of
Something's
course, we
gonna happen.
cannot,
Not if,
we
it's
can't
when.
predict these things. So let's put them away for the next disaster. If we don't need them and they're ending their lifespan, why don't we donate them to the homeless? Why don't we donate them to shelters? There are things that can be done with them.
Seniors.
Yeah.
Seniors.
Thank you. We have companies who are willing to give these to us free of charge. Why don't we take that, even if it's only for a couple of days that these children need them? Why should they
It's a
be
great
hot?
idea, and I think
Why
me and Glenn can
should
push
they be
that.
hot?
Yeah.
I think she should run for school board next year.
Well, I'm glad you got involved. Jennifer, thanks for coming
Thank
in.
you so much for having
Lastly,
me.
what would you have to say to the leaders and the parents out there? Your own comments.
She just did. Let's be
Yes.
proactive.
Be proactive. Don't just sit there and complain. Reach out. And sometimes it's so hard because we hit these brick walls and we think that that's the end of it. Luckily, I have a brother who is the chief of staff for a senator in Alaska. So he was able to give me some avenues
to Alaska.
that most people, yes, we lived there and
I
loved
wanted to
it. But we were given, he was able to give me some avenues that I didn't know about and that a lot of parents don't know about. They think that contacting the principal or contacting even the school board is the last of it. But
No.
they're kind of low man on the totem pole when you look at the broad spectrum of everything.
Right.
And I
Brown,
thank
you
you for
had a
having
question?
me.
Brian, you gonna say?
I was gonna ask a question just because I'm out here in the audience.
Yeah.
One is, yes, we know that the state has to get involved with the schools.
Right.
We understand that. I believe we also have to understand that the school board falls under someone else or someone's authority, and who is that?
The state's school system.
Okay, if you can't get no help from the school board, where would you go?
The state.
Besides the state,
Right.
Well, the commissioners, to some degree.
you go locally.
Right.
I have sat down there with the commissioners, I go to their meetings, I have not heard one parent talk about those air conditioning units.
Wow.
To the commissioners.
To the commissioners.
Yeah.
Not a one.
I don't think it's known enough. I don't
Right.
think the resources are out there enough that we know as parents that there are
Where to
other
go.
avenues.
That's why we need, if in the Rockfish community, you need to come to the Rockfish Community Board
Absolutely.
meetings.
Start
once a
there.
month.
Start there. Get
25 June is the next meeting.
And we'll get you on the
6:30. Right here.
6:30.
Back room.
Awesome.
Mr. Sutherland, who's the county commissioner, was here. And you got an audience right in the meeting. So you gotta go to the meetings, you gotta get involved.
Gotta be
If not,
aware.
you just sit back and it'll pass on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you very much.
That's gonna do it for this segment. Thanks for coming, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we got Gary Brigman, who is your athletic director of Hoke County. Why did you keep putting that on? I do not know. But we'll be right back.